Me too. Are you good? Are we good to go?
Yes, let's go. Go
All right,
ahead. Take it
let's go.
away.
Okay, and hello, dear friends, and welcome to the first episode of Living in the Flow in 2023. And what an exciting time it is. We've only been in it for a week, but I feel I'm having a wonderful time. And even in the December, the energies were so full on with a lot of good things. So the themes that were happening for me, it was just a lot of family, and not that I've been closer in the distance to the family because they're all in Europe, but it's just these amazing reconciliations have happened in the last year that I would not have even just in the last year that I would not have thought possible, and not just between me and my family, but also between other family members. So those kind of divisions of huge betrayals where people haven't seen each other, for example, such huge betrayals that people haven't seen each other for 10 years, and all of a sudden they've come together and reestablished their relationship in a new way, because these kind of things are now possible, and it is possible for the whole world, and these kind of things are needed for the whole world, because as we all know, people in the world are so divided, the nations are divided, families are divided, neighbors are divided, and there's been centuries and centuries of battles and hatred, and where all of these kind of patterns are then passed on to the next generation. And there has to come a person, a chain link within every generation that says no more to these kind of things, that has the courage to look at things in a new way, to open and to heal those kind of divisions and wounds within themselves, and then of course inspires their family members and people around them to also do. And this is how we change the world within ourselves first, within our own close circles first, and it is possible now. And this is the most needed thing when you look at the whole world, because the whole world has been in such strife for, as I said, for millennia, for generations and generations. And these things need to be let go of rather than continue with each generation. So that has been one of the themes for me. The other theme has just coming for me is this expansion into even more of just accepting things of the way they are, and the people, like this journey includes so much of having that tunnel vision, going, very small in your world, with the people, with things, with hobbies, with everything, because when you're going deep into yourself, you have to let go of all of the things that are normal become distractions. So they're not distractions in and end of themselves, but when you are in a certain part of your journey, when you are on that inner journey, on the integration, through walking through the valley of the darkness and all of that, everything else has to go out of the focus, so that you can integrate your shadow, and that you can become aware of who you are. And so you do need that time on your own, but doesn't mean that people that are married have to leave their marriage at all. It's just that you find that space for yourself. And then comes a time where that is no longer needed, and the world then keeps expanding. And there is, for many people, they need to be in certain, let's say, groups of people that think of the same way. And then it comes a time when you really just can enjoy this incredible variety of people, the incredible variety of how they think, how they express themselves, how they express their truths, that doesn't really matter anymore. How they do it is just enjoying. It's like, when you go into this huge field of flowers and you enjoy each individual unique flower that is there, and they're all different. None is more right than the other. But at the same time, for those that are still going or just entering, because there are many new people all the time, that are awakening to themselves, that are entering into this, just know that whatever you feel is necessary is absolutely right for you. So this journey is really a lot about letting go of other people's ideas of how you should be, but always then learning to follow your own truth or your own inner voice, because the whole journey is about finding your own inner connection with your soul, and then learning that you are part of that soul, learning that you are the soul having a human experience. That's all these different changes of perspective, and none are wrong. They're just different parts of the journey until you come to that, where you're able to allow the bigger perspective, where all of those truths, many, exist at the same time, and you can just play and dance and swim in those kind of waters. So there are yes, allow always to follow your truth, your inner voice, whatever that is. And often it is quite different than the people that's around you, even people in spiritual circles. And the thing is that when you follow your voice, it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter whether you think that, oh, this is not spiritual, like sometimes it takes you in all these different directions, and people still can separate, oh, this is spiritual, this is not spiritual. Or they say, well, I've gone into my normal life, I'm now doing just normal things because that spiritual thing just didn't work for me, so I've been a non-spiritual for a few years. That is just silly, but that's how people within a mass consciousness think. They divide things in different boxes. Even if you look at, for example, the school system, you have all the different sciences. You have biology, physiology, astronomy, physics, all of these different, as if the world, the earth, works in these separate ways. Like those kind of separations work and help to focus in on things, but as long as people are aware or become aware that is all connected, you can't just put things in little boxes. So unless you start understanding the whole, then the bits and pieces don't make sense, And so so that all of those kind of things have been happening for me. And then within the everyday life, I've just been dancing every day. It's been raining and quite cool in our place. It's a rainy season, also hot, but just enjoying my life and whatever comes up, and just enjoying people and all the different things that I'm involved with. So over to you, dear Tanya.
Brilliant. Happy New Year.
and to you.
And to everyone also. It's a very cliche thing, right, to say Happy New Year. But so when I do say Happy New Year, I like to make it clear that it is in whatever way it's feeling to you, to whoever it's being wished to, because happiness is a very volatile thing. And regarding the theme of love and expansion, just like you've expressed and shared from your own journey, I find people opening up more and more to even different perspectives that they had not been aware of before, and also wanting to explore more avenues of self-discovery than ever before. And within the context of love, it's really interesting, because one of the reasons why people keep their hearts shut down is because of this preconceived idea derived from past experiences that love hurts. And therefore it provokes suffering, and it can hurt oneself or another, and therefore it's safer to keep the heart shut. But it's really, really relevant at this time, and right now that we're beginning this massive, incredible, epic 2023, to become aware of that it's not only the heart opens in all senses. So we're not, just like you were saying, we're not boxed, like we can't open just one sector and not open another. So if a person is going through their integration journey and is aware of aspects coming up and aware of the fears and all of that, and which require, obviously, having your heart open to receive compassionately. Heart, well, it's a very figurative thing, but actually it is more or less located in the space of the chest. So just yeah, let's keep the word heart. And so yeah, only through that portal, it's like a portal that we have in that space, in our biological space, but which it is beyond the biology, though the connection doorway is through the biology space where we feel things physically. And so in order for integration to happen, so for things to be truly acknowledged, truly accepted, truly embraced, and truly transcended, the heart needs to be open. But if one wants to, okay, I open my heart to all of my aspects and all of that, but not to others, not to the rest of the world, not to intimate relationships or friendships or my family or whatever. Just it can be so many different things. Not to that. Then you are jeopardizing your own integration, because by intending to keep the door shut for what one thinks to be one sector, which is others, you close yourself down for yourself, because there are no others. That's one thing, because every single thing, person, experience, whatever, in our reality is a flow of us, a flow of ourselves that we have the privilege of envisioning as something external. And we are each one that for each other and in and of ourselves. So first of all, there are no others, but it's all part of our own reality and for our own perspective and all of those beliefs we have created and all of the preconceptions and whatever. It's all part of our own world. And secondly, the heart is shut or open. It can't be shut for one thing and open for others. It's either shut or open. So at this point, and because love is a theme for every single human being here on earth, and I'm not talking about intimate relationships as a theme, I'm talking about love itself. And we've lived it in so many ways, but actually, as long as we are still fearing being hurt or hurting, we know nothing about love, because that was not love. Those were just explorations of separation and of trying to find answers and to find recognition and to find love somewhere outside. So that was not the love I'm talking about. That was not the profound, unconditional, expanded love of isness, of essence, of our wholeness. That was something else. That was another exploration. So knowing that each moment is new, so each now moment, the moment right now we are living is new. We have never lived it before. Each breath is new. We have never breathed it before. Knowing that, I'd like to leave the invitation here to whoever is realizing that the heart seems to be open for one thing and shut for others. the invitation, if you could let go of this preconceived idea about love, whatever it is, or whatever, all of the preconceived ideas about love, just let them all go, because they're part of past experiences, of past beliefs, of past learnings, and of other people's experiences even, because we absorb what we see as children, and we absorb our parents' experiences, our grandparents' experiences, all of our ancestors' experiences as our own, because we absorb them in order to make sense of reality. So then we own them. And so I invite everyone who would like to be available for this right at the beginning now of this 2023, to just invite a torrent of all of those beliefs, experiences, everything back home, in order to be able to let go of those predeterminations, so that from today onwards, from this moment onwards, or from the moment onwards when you really allow all of that to be released as a determining guide of what to do or how to proceed through life, to open up to the notion that it's new. So you know nothing about love if you're afraid of it. So therefore you can let go, because the fear is about something that you knew before, but not about this that is available for you now if you open your heart. So in other words, if you can and would like to open your heart fully, really remove all of the walls, the veils, the whatever accoutrements have been created to keep it safeguarded, which is actually stifled, imprisoned, and small. It's not safeguarded at all. If you could remove all of that and realize that then the heart opens its wings and becomes free, and that's where it's safe. You know why? It's safe then because that's where love exists. Love only exists in that open, free space of expanded awareness, of possibility, of allowing, of receiving, of being. That's where love really exists. That's where you are fully. That's where all of the aspects can come and just bathe in that until they're used to it, and then decide, okay, I can melt into this. I can melt into this, and I can leave my treasures here. And then you can have one more piece of you in service of the wholeness, in service of this newness that is here each moment. It's always new. It's always new, no matter whether we are aware of it or not. But living with this awareness allows us to open up each time. Imagine you're facing a situation, a new situation right now, that seems eventually scary, but you decide, okay, let me open up for it. And then you discover something else. It seems to be scary, and then it's not. Whatever. Just walking through a new space in our lives that we have never been in before, and therefore we know nothing about. If each one here, just like I do, I'm sharing what I do all the time, could see love in that way, then the heart can open and be safe. Because that's all it is. It's openness, it's expansiveness. So for me, what it's been like in these December, full on January, wow, it's only been a week, incredible. It's just been so beautifully, intensely expansive. What I've experienced a lot throughout these weeks has been so much invitation to be a part of everything in life. And so many things I had dreamt about, projects, social projects and stuff that in education and you name it, so many things that are fun that I would like to see implemented are coming my way as a clear possibility that, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Why not? That's really fun. And so bringing more fun into everything, just being here for the fun of it, no matter whether it seems to be spiritual or not. It is, obviously. I mean, we are spiritual beings. Every single thing we do is spiritual and human at the same time. We are nothing else. That's exactly what we are. So it has been a discovery of more participation, more avenues of participation, more ways of creating situations for many people that are balanced in terms of abundance, in terms of play, in balancing work and play. It's been just, wow, oh my God, this is now possible. And okay, let's just get it going, you know. And then also the void has been very present for me. The absence of needing to identify with anything or with being someone in any single way, so to speak. So and that void, that nothingness has been so rich. So I experienced many times being just in that void, many times. But what has happened lately in the last weeks is that it has expanded, it has intensified. And in that, like eventually if I would see a limitation with something or whatever, it's disappeared. Like impossibles have been made more possible than ever, so to speak. But these are just being born from that nothingness that I find myself in a lot. And so I've also been going places and doing fun stuff with my kids and friends, and just really being so happy to be here, you know, just happy to be here in a physical body, to be healthy, to be alive, filled with love and vitality and creative expression, and just being that from the void all the time. So I do spend a lot of time also in silence and don't want to speak to anyone for hours, but I do also spend time with others in life and imagining and making possible stuff that that benefits a greater whole. But it's doing it with from a space of joy, you know.
Yeah.
Joy. I can't, like, oh wow, now I can do that. Oh wow, now more people can experience this joy. And it doesn't matter how spiritual they are or whatever.
None of this
it's irrelevant.
Exactly. This, like what you're saying now, it's been so much, you've explained it so well, because for me too, the social aspect that so much for so long, so many years, you know, I've been in my own space, but now, of course, like you, doing this quiet time, absolutely, but also just now being okay to just start going out again. I used to go to
Yeah.
dinners and parties and evening things a lot, and last few
Yeah.
years, last decade, I was not interested at all, and I wondered if it's going to ever come back again. And all of a sudden, that's the thing with this journey, that really you can't say
You
never
never
again.
know.
You never know, yeah, how the next week is going to come and what you're going to feel. So you can't, like, I love that meme. After I've said never again, I've never nevered before. It's so true, because you
And
really,
on the other hand, it
yeah,
is a never again because it's in a new way all the time. So it's
yes,
both
yes.
things. It's not only
It's not in
one.
the same. It's not, because now we're like whole, we're not
Yeah.
wounded. And when you were talking about love, love has been such a sacred journey, and it for me too, like,
Mm.
it's been this huge theme of this life. And so for me, I don't know, I don't want to talk about family members that much, because they didn't agree to be public or what, but one
Yeah.
part of my family on mother's side has completely destroyed. So the previous generations have completely destroyed themselves, and all had to do with poverty. And it all had to do also with, some kids being taken to institutions and all of those old abusive things. And then came out, and there was alcohol and addiction and domestic violence and all of that kind. So I'm very, very familiar, and poverty as well. I'm very familiar with that. The other side of the family, completely different. So I've got a whole range. But out of that darkness, the complete destruction, where I've learned so much about love and what it isn't and what it is, because within those spaces, love to me felt like I'm slave to it. Because when family members, let's say, are given to addiction, you still love them as a child, as a family member.
Mm.
You don't love them any less. But love is then to love as all these other things that are added.
It's
Hate,
unconditional.
that's
Yeah.
it's hate. There's hatred there. There's slavery, feeling of slavery, because, for example, with anybody who knows addiction, or or knows someone in their family, knows that that person's addiction can totally take over the whole family, the whole immediate family, because they always, that their addiction is number one always, and everything else is a slave to it. And because you still love that person, especially if you are from a society that is gives such importance to family, and then you have all these guilt added up, why don't I love them, and all of that kind of, there are so many themes and issues within that love. And then, of course, it all has to also do with woundedness, with feminine woundedness, with masculine woundedness, and all of those betrayals. And oh my gosh, that whole war. So out of that darkness, then for me, I felt very unsafe. So as those people know, you're never safe, you're never good enough, you're never worthy, you have totally non-existent self-worth. And so that was kind of the start of my journey, like all of that darkness. And then and within that, I still loved. I loved incredibly, I was passionate, I was interested. So love never really dies. And even though, for example, my heart was extremely closed, and, like even my chest, you could energetically feel all those barriers, and there were barriers I put between me and other people. So I never was able to really be intimate with another person, because I thought that I had to always hide. And in this kind of person that has experienced that, these things are very much present with every single person in our society. But with this kind of person, they're even much more in the front, and they're there for a reason. So for me, this journey of self-love has started from really zero self-love to then blossoming. But what was a big difference? A lot of things made huge difference. But when I really, this last pushed, if I can say that, this last awakening to self in a completely different way, this last decade, it had to do with allowing even more of the soul. So I find that it wasn't possible for me to actually allow myself to feel safe or feel open or start opening my heart until I felt the presence of my soul. So we
Definitely.
can't really say, oh, open your heart just within that a human, a society experience. It has to start allowing and becoming present, allowing the presence, allowing what we call here the soul self, that presence, whether you call it master self, whether you call it higher self, whether you call it God self, divinity, it matters not. So the more percentage of that presence I felt, that actually then allowed me to start feeling safe, that allowed me to change the perspectives and to learn what compassion is, to learn what unconditional means, to learn that love is actually not a slavery. There was a time in my life where I didn't want love, because I thought that if I love someone, I'm a slave to their addictions, to their needs. I have to give myself, all of those kind of things. So it was this presence that then taught me how to just be, how to love, how to let go, how to let go of guilt and shame, how to break down all of those huge inner walls, how to break down the shame, the feeling of unsafety, the feeling of unacceptance, the feeling of not being able to show who I really am to other people for fear of rejection and all of that. So it's a huge arc of a journey with many, many different stages, as I mentioned at the beginning too. Like there's stage where you come where for a couple of weeks I would not speak to someone. It was just me and nature, and I would spend days and days walking and stuff like that. That was my journey. Someone else needs different things. What you need is what you will create within your space anyway. But so that is really the trick to opening your heart, to feeling the safe space, is allowing the presence of divinity. And how do you allow this presence? Really, it's always the same. You just stop and you come into this now moment, and you come however that is for you, whether you put music, headphones on. If you live in a city, you can put headphones on, just beautiful music, as long and take that time for yourself. And it's just, you learn lots of different strategies. It's a whole process again, how you learn to take time for yourself, because then you have to let go of taking too much care of other people, where they should do that for themselves and stuff like that. And so it's a whole journey where day by day you become more of you. It's like a holistic. So when you're journeying, when you are in this journey with your soul, it's a holistic. Everything is very whole. There are a lot. Like you are changing, your life is changing, your day is changing in a very holistic way, and everything that its time comes up will come into your attention, and you realize, wow, I need to change that. And when the change comes, then you are also, with this holistic way of living, also ready for that change. You don't have to push. You don't have, like all of the things and bits and pieces are in place for you to take that step. And so that's another thing that you learn how to trust. For me, this learning how to trust was quite a few years, because I didn't trust the soul. When I became first, I remember I was driving out of town, and I really became aware of my higher self at that time. I thought, you effing bloody higher self, I hate you. That my light gone. Okay. I hate you. I want to divorce you because I hated my life, So I thought, well, if this is my soul doing it, I don't want this soul. I want some other soul, stuff like that. So this is how much hatred I had. So even in relationship with a human and soul, there was just this arc that I needed to really learn how to let go, how to trust, how to love. And the thing with soul is it knows you, it's you anyway, but it knows you intimately. So you co-create then all of the different experiences that are perfectly tailored, like all of the courses that I was doing, all of the books, all of the people that came into my life were absolutely perfectly tailored to what I needed, even though the human mind didn't know it, but was tailored to what I needed at that time. And so then that transition happens when before my mind was controlling my life, and then all of a sudden you start having those experiences when you realize what it's like to be outside of mind, and you become aware of that presence, and then more and more you start making choices out of that presence, you know, and you are much more again then in your body, and then the courage comes and the ability to see things and new potentials come. But it all is always to do with the percentage of the soul that you can allow to be present. That is what brings all of these. It's not that, because you can't do it from your mind, and also you can't actually even know yourself from the mind. But when with the presence, all of a sudden you start having all of those expanded experiences, and that then takes you on that real journey that you've been, each of one of us have been preparing for lifetime after lifetime. But it's that last real coming together of human and soul that is now possible. And in this new energy, in this 2023, the whole change. Now enough of us are doing this, are allowing this, that now there is this huge change that is occurring, that this earth is even more going to be fitted to who we are, to accommodate who we are, meaning divine human, integrated as a soul, as one, that oneness, that at the same time acts as so many different parts, you know, because you realize that at the same time you are oneness of yourself, and you have so many different parts who also are you. But you know that at any time you can disidentify with those parts, and you can feel yourself as that great I am that I am, just presence, who is nothing and everything all at the same time. That void, you know, where you're just hanging out and you don't have to identify with nothing, and you just exist. That's what that means. I exist. I am that I am. No definitions. But yes, so I like Tanya, I would also invite everyone to just make that choice for wherever you are, because there's always the next level. Make that choice to allow more, to allow all of these new grand potentials that are available now to be part of your life, and then own them, and then act on them, and then do the steps that they require so that they manifest in your life.
Yeah, and taking that lead, well, first of all, of course, when I'm inviting people to open their hearts, it's assuming that, of course, you know about your soul, you've invited your soul in, otherwise you wouldn't even be doing integration. So that is an essential thing. But considering others to be something separate to which we can keep the door shut is a human choice. It is not something that we are allowing our soul to show us, because our soul, our essence, will always show us that there is no separation between us and the other. The separation is fictional. However, there are many individuals, obviously unique, obviously with their own realities. An individual is a very interesting word because it means undivided. So, because from the Latin stem of the word, individual means undivided. So it is the core of each and every one is undivided. So by allowing our soul to be the guiding principle, and to even face because that conflict with soul, like, what the hell, where have you been? That every single one of us faces, some to a greater extent than others. because it depends on each particular journey and where we are at on our journey. But everyone faces that anger at God, soul, divine, whatever. And it's layered. It doesn't go away instantly and all at once. That's why many times we have looked at that, seen that, faced that, and then realize, oh, it's still here. Because it's layered. So it's just a journey that goes on. And if it's there, again, opportunity to just let it go, to accept it's there, to see, okay, how is this anger still serving me right now? Because if it's there, of course, it's been serving something. We don't have anything in us that is not of service. Though sometimes we would much rather not have certain things. They are there still because they're serving something, because they're serving some kind of choice of ours, some kind of behavior, some kind of habit, whatever, that is still prevalent, and therefore they have to remain there, those things. So when that fear first is realized, that fear and that anger at our essence, we have the opportunity to see, okay, how is this serving me? And then let go, and so on. And if it comes up again, how is this serving me? And not being angry at ourselves, or like, why the hell don't I get this? Or why haven't I already let go of this? It's pointless. It's there, you look at it, you accept it, you realize how it's serving you, you realize whether you want to keep it or not. And if you want to keep it, of course, yeah, you have a certain range of experiences, because experience is always to be had. If you let it go, you have a different range of experiences, which are the unknown. And that's another fear that comes up, the unknown. Why? It's not unknown or known or anything, really. The whole point is that the mind wants to know everything before stepping into something new. And so that's part of keeping the heart shut, of holding back. No, wait a minute, but okay, let me just try and understand this first. Let me just try and figure this out. No, soul can't be figured out. The new can't be understood before being experienced. Love cannot be had before being allowed. And experience cannot exist before we step into it. And integration cannot be done by the mind, because the mind in our human terms, because there is the greater mind, the mind of soul, the God mind, let's say, that's a different kind of thing. But the human mind, in terms of the one that needs to analyze and understand and control, and of course to provide safety, so-called safety, does not know how to integrate, because integration is just a part of soul, is a part of human merging with soul. So human, in all of the human facets, merges with essence in the wholeness. And therefore, the mind hasn't got a clue about it. So there's no point trying to understand the whole thing, because that is just another entertainment. Now, speaking of love, again, it's interesting because just like you, Alexis, I came into this lifetime to really, give myself a big exploration. Like, no, this time I'm gonna get it. And so it started with a complete lack of love from outside, inside, lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth, all of those things in different, of course, different ways and through different experiences, because we all have a unique journey. But I started having intimate relationships when I was 12. So I started really early, in chronological human terms, I mean. I'm happy I did, because that of course provided a lot of suffering, but also it also provided a lot of exploration. And one thing was that I never shut down to the next experience, though I was really afraid, because each experience accumulated more pain, until, of course, the point where I came across my soul, and at some point really felt that falling in love within, that oh, this is the love I was searching for. This is it. Wow. And it felt so similar to falling in love, like with someone else, but it had two fundamental differences. It required no one else, and it was not going away. It was permanent. It was there. And those were the two fundamental differences. But the feeling was the same. That exciting beauty.
That first 3 months. That first 3 months.
Yeah, there you are.
Oh
exactly.
My God, I had very similar experiences in this. That first 3 months.
Oh,
and, you know, like why God. Now I know why we have pink color today, because we're talking
about love.
But also because, you know, when you fall in love as a human for the first 3 months, you have pink glasses on, where everything is just pink.
Exactly. And so for me with soul, yes, it was like that. But the thing is, it remained. Yeah. And even I was lucky in a sense, because even when I realized I had been angry at soul, and that's one of the separations there, I still felt the love. So I mean, I was still in love. So the love, once I really collapsed into it, once I really felt, oh my God, this is it, it never really went away. So that was a lucky strike, because like that, I could keep on trusting even when it seemed impossible to trust, because my dark night of the soul was full on at that time. Even being in love, I mean, being in love with my essence brought on the full on dark night of the soul. It became even more intense and more painful and more of a kind of an apocalyptic world inside.
That's a perfect explanation. Like, yes,
totally.
Apocalypse inside.
Yes, absolutely. It was totally that.
And it wasn't just one post-apocalyptic world. It was post,
yes,
and again another post. So just keep adding.
And it was breathtaking, continuously breathtaking. It's like, how can I trudge through this? I mean, just
very traumatic, like so traumatic and
right.
So like devastating. Like I was devastated, so
overwhelming,
and
devastating.
Yeah.
And one of the most devastating things was, and of course, because to the ego or personality, it's devastating to realize the lies. The lies. Oh my God, this is not true. But then you go through that period where you feel, how could I believe this? Or how could I be living that way? And of course, then you get angry at yourself, and then you realize, no, wait a minute. No, I can't get angry at myself, because otherwise I make it even harder. And so I went through all of that and loads of physical pain. I can't even begin to describe the different nuances of physical pain all over at different times with all of this. But then, I came to the beach. Eventually came to the beach and could lie in the sun and everything, and the apocalypse ended, and then my own paradise ensued. And it's a constant discovery, that paradise inside, and it's not completely void of some conflict sometimes, of course, because we're living in this world, and sometimes a conflicting experiences comes up. But the difference is, it is not emotionally conflicting, in the sense that it will take me away with all sorts of emotions that I can't define and integrate and accept and whatever. And also it lasts very short periods. So it can be a few moments, a few minutes, or a few hours. And sometimes eventually a few days if necessary, because if there are things I need to be with, I'm not going to sweep them under the rug and pretend they're not there, or that this is not happening. But because I'm with it, and it's very clear, I have absolute clarity about it, why it's there, how it's serving me, etc., I can receive the whole treasure. And so it's distilled very fast. So living in this paradise, which is a kind of a new inner paradigm, is an interesting thing. It's not like, it's always sunny. But I've learned to enjoy the rain, the storms, the wind, I've learned to enjoy all of that. And of course, I live everything totally non-dramatically. And because there is no drama, there is no real big consequence in my reality, because I'm not feeding any kind of victimhood, any kind of drama. I take full responsibility 100% of the time for everything that comes my way, everything. So I don't try and avoid this or that because, oh, no, that's no. I mean, if it's coming my way, obviously there's something for me. Absolutely. And a really beautiful thing that I experienced in the last months is, so I had been in a relationship which started after my merge. So even after all of the integration and the dark night and all of that, so I was like already in my harmony space and discovering, oh, what is it like to live now? And this relationship started in 2015, and it was beautiful all along. There were so many discoveries, and for me it was one of the biggest, most beautiful discoveries was this discovery of freedom in commitment. So before, I'd always felt a little bit stuck or a little bit constricted within a relational commitment. But this time I was able to discover a freedom in that commitment. And the commitment was mine, okay? So it doesn't matter how committed the other person is, because the experience is ours. My commitment was total, and just as it is with my soul. So it's the same, I gave this relationship the same level of commitment and surrender and allowing as I do with my own merge, my own soul, human, divine love affair. And in that, I discovered freedom. I discovered that it's not about the other person ever, no matter what is going on. It's always about me. And I can receive the gifts of each experience, no matter whether in that moment it is painful or whether it is blissful. I can receive that in that freedom. And the freedom that I discovered, really, in other words, is the freedom of knowing and experiencing that I cannot be hurt. I cannot be hurt, and I cannot be made to suffer.
And that's
ever.
A huge one. That's
a huge discovery. And in this, I cannot also hurt or make someone else suffer. And we ended this relationship in September, this last September. And it was so simple and smooth. We just came to a point where we're not, we're not going in the same direction. But the love, it's not gone away at all. The door is not closed. Do I mean by that we're gonna have this relationship again? No, I don't mean that. I just mean that love never ends.
Although you can't say never, right?
There you are. I don't know. How do I know? What the hell? I mean, I'm always changing. I change every day.
So maybe next
the one
episode...
like this. Exactly. I have no idea. But we have given ourselves 6 months apart. Like without calling all the time or whatever, without being in the same space, etc., just to give ourselves the healing, not healing because we're hurt, and this is the most interesting thing, but the healing of the letting go. Well, let's use another word. Let's say the complete letting go of whatever it is that existed between us, but not letting go in a sense of shutting it down, but in receiving completely every single experience that has been lived. So enriching each one ourselves and growing in that, and being able to smell all of the flowers that we created together in our mutual garden in a relationship, and not getting distracted, like, being in each other's presence can be sometimes distracting, because of course the love never ends. The thing is, once your heart is open, it's just there all the time, and it's not just the love for one person, one individual. It's an all-encompassing love. It's big, it's huge, it's you can't measure it, and you can't stop it. You can't shut the door. So that was a wonderful discovery for me, not being able to shut the door, not suffering, not knowing that no one can hurt me and that I'm not hurting anyone else.
That's huge
the level of compassion as well, that us honoring each other and being so thankful for each other and for what we brought to each other's lives. I mean, we grew so much in all of that time, in these 7 years. And also not having expectations, and that was the same throughout the whole relationship. But again, continuing, not having expectations, and remaining available for everything and anything that life is presenting to me, is bringing to me. And I know that life only brings me my frequency. So in that, I am always safe, because I'm always living within that frequency that I provide. That's why I also know that everything that comes my way is appropriate, because I am the one who's providing it
and creating it. And
this
is one of those things where you ask, people ask, oh, which one is first, the chicken or the egg? And
there's none of that.
That's right. They're both at the same time, because like, how do you, because this thing of feeling of safety is huge for all of us. It's huge for everyone. And this thing is like, often people ask, and I've asked myself that when I wasn't feeling safe, when I wasn't trusting, like, how do I trust when I don't trust? It's a very legitimate question.
Definitely.
And so it is a journey in this, and yourself as a soul will take you on that journey, because it's such a huge theme. It's such a huge
and in relationships, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. And then you realize, like imagine we all have this thing, can I trust the other person? Can I trust them in all senses? Let's say all senses, whatever. It's not about that. We can only trust whoever we are in an intimate relationship with,
who
if we are trusting
That's it.
ourselves.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, whatever they do, then you can choose what you're going to do with it.
That's right.
So you trust.
And it doesn't really matter. Like, that's what I find with in relationships, all kinds of relationships with people, that like you've listed all of those important points. It is because, how sometimes if you watch other people, how like they find something, or maybe they look for certain signs, or are you cheating on me, and all of that kind of stuff. These kind of pressures really have gone. Like, for me, those kind of pressures really have gone, because I know that when I'm allowing love, then I creating out of love. So then another person, like you said, firstly can't hurt me, but they're not even interested, because we're so honest in like things like cheating, because we're so honest with it. There's this freedom to be so honest with each other, that we can say to each other, look, this relationship is no longer serving me, and the other person is not going to go into this drama and revenge and all sorts of things,
and
it will
loss,
just be,
and
all that. It will, there is sadness and grief
you do
always
have
present.
to mourn.
That's right. There are so many things that you have to actually do within this. Everything. And this is one of those things also that I wanted to touch, because I know that sometimes people say, oh, but you ladies talk about just blissful things and da-di-da, and it's all rosy and pink and blah 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 and flowers and things. But like you said, it actually, the reason why it appears to be that way is not because of lack of hard, challenging things, but I don't know if I can actually call them hard, like you've explained it very well when you were talking, but it is because of who I am now, who I allow myself to be, and the presence of my larger self,
of your consciousness,
of my or soul, whatever, as we said, whatever person calls this, is that I can now handle it all. I can now deal with it all of those things. But in everyday life, I deal with absolutely everything. Like, for example, but sometimes it is much easier. For example, let's say if you go to like you go, let's say if a person has job or work or something, and they go to work and there's traffic and stuff. If I was to go to work at that time, I also too would experience traffic, but I would, within traffic, have music. I could just enjoy the whole thing, so it wouldn't be that frustration for me. But even better, I find that whenever there's some accident on the road, without me knowing or having to worry as a human self, I might just stop. Oh, look at that beautiful rainbow. And I will stop and take photos of it and give without knowing that in further down the road, there's a road.
There's an accident.
And there's a block of the road, and people are waiting in line, because by the time I get there, it's already been cleared.
That happens all the time.
All the time. And these are the kind of things that firstly make it much, much easier, much, much less frustrating, because your soul self firstly has an overview of everything, so it can see what's ahead, and you just follow. Wow, look at this beautiful cloud. I'm going to go down this road, and all of a sudden you go around the fallen trees, or there's been a landslide because there's been rain, or there's been a big storm. You just, without even actually worrying about it. But if I end up in a storm, I just take photos of it, because I think, wow, look at this. Isn't it incredible how all of this works? Because the fear is not present. So like you said, one part of it was to actually become okay with all of the things. So not just expect, well, I'm going to be happy if outside it is sunny. That is very typical. But it's like, no, I can be happy when it's misty and moody. I can be happy when it's cool, when it's hot, when it's rainy, because you discover the magic in all of those things. So this is a huge part of why all of those frustrations fall away, because I can accept everything, because everything is my energy. And, people, for example, it's how I started discovering, for example, I've always loved animals, all animals, but I too was afraid of spiders and things. And all of a sudden I realized, wow, if all is my energy, they too are my energy. And so I've become befriended them. And then all of a sudden I realized just how much these little creatures can teach, how much they've taught me about life, because they can do those kind of transformations, like, you know, the caterpillar to butterfly and all of those kind of things. They already know how to do that. All I have to do is feel them, and that knowledge of them that they carry within them, I can feel that knowledge. But not just that. So that's one of those parts. It's not really that you know, it can look blissful, and I that's one of the reasons also why I don't use those kind of words, even because sometimes they can be overused, you know, like especially in the new age, all of this, and love and light and blah blah blah. But it can look just fake and fluffy, you know. But in reality, it does change because firstly, as we said, you accept so much more, and then secondly, and you can be happy in any situation, and secondly too, because all of those things become small. The problems become small because you become a master of your life, and you also learn how to deal with procrastination and all of those. There is a big thing within this journey too, is that when you hit you know, when the change comes and you hit that resistance, and not resentment, it's resistance, where you just don't want to go to the next level. So you learn how to deal with that as well. And then everything that you perhaps still haven't been able to handle masterly in your life, you learn how to then go from being in relation to it, feeling yourself small in a relation to it, to going into those waters where you allow all of those capabilities all of a sudden, and the view where you all of a sudden see that issue as just being an issue, part of life, something that you can easily deal with. And you are then in that space where you don't have to procrastinate, but you just deal with whatever, because and at the same time, because you do feel safe, because you don't feel fear anymore, because you feel this new evolving boldness, and you know, like boldness in yourself just to go and do. And every time that you do something, you gain that self-confidence, and you think, wow, look at all of these things that I can do. And then you see more potentials, and the new potentials, and the new people, and you see other people that inspire you to, and then you think, well, if they can do it, I can do it as well, in my own way, not exactly in the same way as another person. So again, it's that holistic way of living, and it isn't, and it may seem like we're just talking about, you know, love and light and love and fluffy, but it actually is. It's like a tree, or like I like to say, you know, the water lilies or lotus, they grow out of the mud, they grow in swamps. They don't grow in clear waters. If you try to grow water lily in clear waters, it's probably not going to do very well, because it requires that mud, that thickness of the swamp area, that, you know. So that's the same with this journey. Our roots, like a tree, our roots are deep in the dark soil, you know, and then you can actually then reach
that's where they
out.
germinate.
Exactly. And then you can reach out, and then the deeper your roots are, the more your what other people can see can expand. Like the bigger your top part of the tree can be. So that's one of the things. So maybe, you know, sometimes we don't talk about because of those things, because you
it's
can now,
irrelevant
and
because,
also
for
you
us.
can,
I
and
mean,
also you can
it
deal
doesn't
with
get
it.
stuck.
No,
Exactly.
it
In that
doesn't get
sense,
stuck. You
it's
flow with
just
it.
part.
You flow with it, and it's part, and you deal with it. And so all of these things are no more an issue. So that's one thing. And then a third thing, that when you were mentioning about the sovereignty and individuality, I think that again, with that thing, we all experience those things a little bit in a similar way. So the way I experience this, that I experience others very, very definitely. So I don't feel that others are me. I feel myself very much my own oneness in my own sovereign energy. But what I do feel is, because within this house of myself, of my sovereign space, of my sovereign state of being, to interact with others, it's through the energy. So when another person, another being, another individual soul being comes and interacts with me in the ethers, I then change my energy patterns to fit them. So I create this image of another person within my energy that fits that in a way of how I perceive that other energy, or how I perceive them. So my view of the oneness is not that we're all one, all people are one. If you go far into the one who was that initial creator that created all these individual sparks, then yes, we all come from that one. But the individuality creator is all, like, that's my view of it, it's all about individuality. Because like, even if we look at the world that comes, like, even you look at the grain of sand, there's billions of grain of sand, there's billions of stars, and yet all of them are a little bit different. There's nothing of the same. And so that's how I see it. And then you have this dance of all these individual, and it's not like we're all going into oneness, as in like that all people all of a sudden we're going to be one, is not. So it's all at the same time. I can be an individual, but I have this incredible compassion to another person, and that removes a lot of barriers, and also it makes my energy to flow, so that my image of them within my energy continues to change to reflect who they really are. And so that actually then enables me to be really intimate with that other person on a whole new level. Because before, in the small space of myself that I used to be, of course, I put a wall there, and only I would not allow their whole self to really interact with me, to really see them. And now it is the time of that change where we're all changing. And so I keep that now flowing as well, so that my image within my energy keeps changing to accommodate who they are, and also how I'm changing. Because the more I see deeper into myself that I see, the more I can actually then see in another as well. So it's a theme that like we are just starting to really explore, I feel, because we are now so clear with these, we're clear within ourselves that this is a whole new way of experiencing. So that's one of the ways that I experience that. So there definitely is another. So another thing that people ask me, when we channel and we talk about Yeshua and we talk about Saint Germain and the Dharmas, and there is a part that we've created that reflects the Dharmas, and that is often that part that speaks to us. But then comes a time when you really then become aware, for example, of this another being who really is Saint Germain, and they are not me, so the way, for example, the way that I can tell the difference when I speak on behalf of Michael, my own soul, or Saint Germain, it was really funny at the beginning when I first started channeling for other people, for other entities, was all about how my mind reacted to this other entity. So for example, I would just allow this other entity to come closer and then use my mind and my knowledge of words and experiences to chat, to explain the energy that they were channeling through. But my mind initially was really funny with it, because it would say, hey, but we're lying, because this entity had different experiences. And when I was channeling them, they were saying in first sentence, in one I, they were speaking as I this, I that, and my mind was here saying, hang on, don't say I've never experienced this, because they have different kind of experiences than I have. So this is just, if anyone's interested in the intricacies of channeling other entities, this was something that was very interesting for me at the beginning. Now I know, now my mind knows that yes, we're allowing the Saint Germain to come, which we just step aside, and we know that it's another entity. So in this way, I am quite clear in this now that another entity isn't me. But if you go far enough back and far enough, of course, into we all are one, because we do come from that one initial creator who was. But yeah, I enjoy this. I enjoy the sovereignty. I enjoy the uniqueness, and I enjoy the end, because at the same time, I can actually enjoy and allow other people to have their own different experiences with this and their own different views. There is nothing that I need to impose on anybody how they see. So this is the freedom, and this is what the freedom is, that real freedom. Many people sort of talk about freedom this and freedom that, and freedom is to be able to go out, like many people have lost a lot of freedom during COVID, and now they can appreciate much more just the fact that you can walk out and go to the shop, anytime you want, or anything like that. But that is for sure the freedom, and some people don't even have that freedom. But there is that real freedom, that is the inner freedom, and that has to do with just absolutely, you are free to really explore who you are, and your points of view, each one of our points of view and attributes, and all of these things that perhaps as a human you said, oh, why am I like this? I want to change this. I don't want this. I don't want to be like this, or whatever. And you can list all of these attributes of yourself that perhaps you don't like. They were given you for a reason from your soul self, because it wants to explore all of those nuances and flavors of who you are as an individual, and how you see the world. It doesn't really, you see, the entity of you doesn't really want the same experience. It doesn't create all these varieties of itself and varieties of life to have the same experiences. It wants variety. So it is all about individuality, and it is about individuality in a way that allows that same freedom to others. And this freedom requires that we change how we view the world, and we expand our view of Earth, to include much bigger spaces within which then people can play, and they don't affect us, because in that little small space where we didn't feel safe, we felt that we had to make other people believe like we do, and that's what we tried, because it wasn't safe, you see. So it's the disagreements and differences that people go to war with and into conflict. But now we're really in that space, because we've expanded our points of view and space within us, that we can actually realize, wow, I'm just completely safe and sovereign in the house of my own I am. Nobody comes into this space. Nobody chooses for me. I choose, and I honor all that I am, all the attributes of who I am, because all of those parts of me, especially those parts that are different than others, are gift from my soul self. They are gift, and I've been given, they're divine, and I've been given them to explore them, to expand them, to express them freely and with joy and with love and respect. And as you are then feeling that way in yourself, then you can extend that respect to others as well, and to their differences, and to all of these differences, the male and the female, all of these kind of conflicts, when you can feel that within yourself, all these kind of conflicts, like Tanya mentioned, they are completely meaningless, because then you just enjoy, they add, others add this richness, they add the tapestry, the colors that we all as a group weave together, because as a group of humans, are alive right now on earth, we are together co-creating this earthly experience. We are together choosing how and what rules there are. These rules are not imposed from outside. They come from the inside, how the universe works, what laws there are. And this is one of those things that is incredibly now changing. And I would invite everyone to really, keep up to date with all of the changes, because it's so easy, to download also from within. It's so easy to still think like the truth that was 20-30 years ago, because now everything is moving so fast. And how do you do that? You just pretty much just choose it, and then it comes and allows, and then you keep updating, and then you be okay with the change, because this is one of those necessary things for these times, is to be okay with this incredibly fast-paced change. And this change now is including not only how the nature changes, as you can see in the weather, but also like many of you know, this new human species. Actually, there are two parallel human species that are being created right now, and one of them has to do with people like us that are wanting to do things in a natural way, that are doing all of these things by allowing the soul self, and so becoming magical, meaning superhuman. Like when you look at all of those movies, superheroes, we are getting many of those kind of attributes, of because to people that are not awakened yet may look magical, or they will just say, oh, this person's just so lucky, everything just runs smoothly for them, just because they don't understand it. And of course, as you know, the other new human is AI, and an artificially augmented human, because this is really now here how people can even change all of these human parts, and DNA even changes, and all sorts of things that those that are not awakened are trying to get to that superhuman status. They also have the good intentions of improving the human life, but through very, very different means. So this is now that game that is being now played with all of us that are playing it. And it's not like, again, at that black and white. And please, I would invite everyone not to create again that division of us and them, because all of us, like if you haven't already, that, for example, let's say even in medicine, everyone can benefit from, whether it's, in the old way of thinking is, oh, I either have to be a really herbal, natural, organic person, or no, that's all crap, placebo effect. I believe in vaccinations and pills and pharmacy and doctors and hospitals. Why that division? It's all for us. So but be discerning. Both sides have some good things and not so good things. Both sides have good doctors and not so good doctors. It's that discernment that you need to choose. So but it doesn't mean choose all of it. It's all that buffet that we have. There is no need for any division. And so with this AI, enjoy the AI, like you can create beautiful things and all sorts of things. Enjoy, perhaps, for some people that are enlightened, but maybe you on a journey, you've lost a leg. Enjoy the artificial leg that this new science can give you. There's nothing wrong with any of these things, but like, how can you be whole? So don't divide, but how can you be whole, and how can you bring that consciousness even into that other type of humanity, and it is all here, and these kind of things are developing very, very fast. Like, for example, look how long quantum physics has taken to even now people sort of still base their beliefs on Newtonian physics. Newtonian physics means that it's all like a clockwork, like a machine. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. A majority of people still believe that nature and reality is that. Quantum physics has been around for decades, and what does quantum physics say is that the observer at the atomic level, at the particles level, it is what at the light level, at the photon level, it is the observer, the expectation of the observer that makes the difference. Then that the atoms do act depending on what the observer, you, expect. And this fits in beautifully with you create your own reality. You see, so science and spirituality are one. They are not separated. They're not boxed in. It is just that you have to go deeper. Then perhaps if you haven't realized that, just dig a bit deeper and see where they meet, you know, because then you can actually update yourself and see where they meet. And then there is no separation. Science and spirituality work beautifully, but it is up to each one of us to bring all of those separations together, you know. And for example, maybe you're not a scientific type of person. Which area are you? Maybe you're in a different area of male and female separation, of separation according to nation, according to religion, according to color, according to whatever the separations there were, and whatever separation that you find that you've operated in, that you notice, that you see. Find that, you know, take that time to bring those two together into oneness, not sameness, but oneness within, meaning that they cooperate rather than war. So that's kind
of I'd like to add there, many people are in conflict with institutions, and be it education, be it local institutions, the municipality, the government, this and that and the other. But really what I found in my own experience is that when you are in a cooperative perspective, and when you are open and free from judgment, and you meet everyone as an equal, no matter who they are, no matter if it's the president or the person who sweeps the streets every week, it doesn't matter. If you meet everyone from a level of honor and respect and openness, everything flows and opens up. And I've been able to manifest the most incredible things in cooperation with institutions that are said to be stuffy and hard, and things never flow and never happen. And I do not have that experience. Why? Not because the institutions are not stuffy or whatever, but because I allow myself to find the avenue of flow through which I can cooperate, and through which my heart is open to receive the best of each person I come across, and of each institution and what they have to offer. Because in the same way that institutions have all of these rules and etc., they also have a lot of opportunities. They also have a lot of open doors. And so we can use the best of everything if we are open and not in judgment of, oh no, you know, that is a no, that doesn't, that I don't agree with them, so I'm not going to knock on their door. Well, yeah, okay, you don't agree with them, but if you go there with no judgment and with your mind is open and your heart is open, and you express,
and you don't try to change them, you don't
exactly, and you express what it is that you'd like to cooperate through, you don't know what they're gonna say, because you don't know them. You only know an image or an idea about them. Even about each person is such a universe. I mean, it's not because someone has had a different, like a bad experience with someone, that I can't be friends with that person and have a different kind of experience, because we all have different kinds of experiences with each other. We have had different experiences which determine the experiences right now, etc. So keeping open and cooperative, for me, is one of the biggest keys now in this time that we're living, for everyone to be able to live more abundantly and to really find in our lives these spaces of new earth. But it's important to have the perspective that it's not because the whole world is going to become a new earth. It's not because all of a sudden this is all kumbaya and everything is going to be perfect. It's not about that at all. It's just that more of us are experiencing a kind of reality which is in harmony and balance like never before. But that doesn't mean that the whole world is going to be experiencing that. And within this, many are being faced with the question of whether to stay or go. This has been a theme that I have come across a lot with many people. It's interesting, like for me, many times I am walking in nature or whatever, or just sitting somewhere, and I feel this sense of such realization and fulfillment that I could go in that moment and nothing remains to be done, or nothing, there are no loose ends. And I know that in that moment, there is such a feeling of wholeness. I could go, but then in that moment, I see, I'm staying. And I'm staying to keep on expanding through this physical experience. But I also know, and that's also a big, big realization, that if and when I go, I don't cease. The point is, experience and existence do not cease. So if anyone is looking at kind of leaving this lifetime in order to get some reprieve and that you can sort of stop existing for a while, forget it. That's a lie. You're not going to stop existing. So the only thing that changes is the form. You're not existing in a physical body as a human. And then depending on where you go, when you leave, that also depends on the frequency you're at when you're here, and when and the moment you depart determines where or what you experience when you get to the other side, so to speak. So you can either feel very human, still like as if you had a physical body, but you don't. If there are a lot of things that are keeping you attached to this reality, things to resolve, people that are attached to you, stuff like that. Or you could go to a different kind of experience. But the point is, you as a being do not cease existing. So existence continues on and on and on and on and on and three dots, because it's infinite. And experience, therefore, is infinite. The nature of experience is different depending on where we experience it, on Earth, on another planet, in the inner realms, wherever. But we don't, so it's not like, I'm going to leave this lifetime because I'm fed up of this, I've had enough, and I'm just going to take a rest. Well, maybe not. Maybe when you find yourself on the other side, you realize, this is not really a rest.
And the thing is, like, when everything exists at the same time, each one of us already is dead. That's the thing. People don't realize that.
Exactly. That's another one. So
whatever dead means, but on the other side.
If one really chooses to leave, consciously chooses, okay, I'm going to leave, please allow it to be from a space of harmony, from a space where you feel really fulfilled with this life, and that you're not living in conflict, that you're not living in separation, that you're not living in disharmony. Because what you keep on existing within on the other, or so-called other side, which is not even another side because it's simultaneous, will be of that nature. So do make sure, since we are having this conversation with people who are conscious of this, do make sure that whatever you leave, be it a relationship, be it the planet, as in die, be it whatever it is, a job, well, so even staying here, whatever you leave, please try as much as you can to come to harmony with it before leaving it. And then you leave in balance. Then it's a flow, it's seamless, there are no ripples there. And then the rest of the experience that comes after it is different, because if you leave in conflict, whatever it is you leave will be an experience to be had again. Because conflict is what we're here for. I mean, we're here to harmonize, basically. So if you haven't harmonized a certain conflict, you will experience it again and again and again until it comes to balance.
And it isn't anyone imposing this on you.
No,
you
it's
yourself.
just we created this thing like this.
Yeah.
We created this earth experience in this way so that we could experience this. So we're all in it. It's not like your soul decided to put you here in human form and go through all of these challenges, and you're not responsible for any of that. Oh, poor me, poor little human. How could my soul do this to me?
And it feels that often. It feels
sometimes
like that.
it does, yeah. But it's not true. It's just that's just a way of us pretending to not be a part of the whole, to not be whole, basically.
It's a victim separation perspective, isn't it? That's all it is.
Right, exactly. That's all it is. And another thing I'd like to leave here is that please don't take any of what we're saying as the truth. Because really it's how it resonates with each one, what we're sharing. We're just sharing what we experience. And I mean, each of our experiences is so unique. And we have so many different avenues of expression, each one of us. So, you know, the way I put it in words and the way Alexis puts it in words is unique to us. And the way you perceive it is unique to you. So many of the times you're not even listening exactly to what we are wanting to say, not because there's something wrong. It's just because, I mean, each one of us listens from our own realm, our own inner world. So then if you find our sharing interesting and it resonates with you, find the truth in it, in you. I mean, your own truth of it. Never take anything that we're saying as the truth. That is the truth. There is no such thing, because there are so many truths that are simultaneous, and what they are for one are not the same for another and another and another. There's no single truth, basically. I mean, and on the other hand, there is. So there's always the and.
That's right.
And it is a permanent thing. And going back to the beginning when you started sharing this last bit, I would say for me, the keys have been completely letting go of procrastination. I never procrastinate. And that just keeps the energy flowing, sometimes at a speed that is even, whoa, okay, but I've got this, and never resisting. So those for me have been surefire ways of keeping my whole reality in constant change. And that's also what we're here for, because nothing is the same in 2 moments. So the reason why I manifest so easily, why everything just happens seeming like magic, and Alexis the same thing, is the reason is simply not procrastinating and not resisting. And we all know that what I'm saying seems too simplistic, because of course then if there is a resistance, you have to deal with it. And if there is a tendency to procrastinate, you have to deal with it. But once you've dealt with it enough, and your enough is big enough, and you really let go of it, there will be a point where eventually you do, if you want to, because we manage everything we want to. Once you're out of that, it just is incredible the way energy flows and the way it serves us, and everything serves us, and every single person and every single institution and every single everything in our reality serves us completely, in the most incredible ways.
Absolutely. I mean, there's not, it's, you've said it so beautifully. I think we've come to the end, haven't we? So like at the end, we would just like to invite each one to check out our websites and to check out all the different things that we're offering at the moment. For myself, is still offering half price private sessions at I think it's $85 more than half price. So for next few days, if you book, I have still the availability in the next 2 weeks. So or if you want to do the actual sessions later, that's fine. But if you book within the next few days, it's still half price. That's a New Year present. And also, yes, check out all of the things that are happening. There's lots of things in the works, or for me, you as well, what I can hear, that there's so many opportunities happening. And also for me, the same with those institutions. And I keep mentioning, you know, I do the 3-day job, and that's with my state's government. And you know, like people will say, oh wow, they're so whatever stuffy and full of rules, but I myself have not found it in this way. And because I do exactly very similar to what you do, and I just use different language, and I go with a different thing, with openness, and I've actually met incredible people, and I've learned incredible people. And because I work in a space of psychologists and, you know, psychiatrists and mental health nurses and stuff, I realized just how similar we are. So what we talk is they talk. It's just a little bit different language, you know. So it's not even that you have to make someone to be open, because the practices, like, this is the thing, it's to look for similarities in what was a division before, you know, like with the masculine and feminine. There's just this, for example, gender, men and women, there's just such a fight in many, you know, in mass consciousness. But in reality, there's just such a celebration of, like, when within me they've come together and they're dancing, and the feminine is just infatuated with the masculine, you know, while before it was all wounded. Now it's just this celebration and joy. And how it manifests then in my everyday life is that I continually just can't believe how beautiful people are. And I look at, for example, men, and not even in any sexual way, it's just this celebration, and I can appreciate just how incredibly how they are different, and how they are the same, and all of their attributes. And before, when I was in that wounded space, all I could see is hatred, and why are they not, you know, like that nagging and trying to change them and make them in something they're not. And it's just such a completely different view, such a completely different experience. And for me, it does feel like coming out of I don't know where we lived, what kind of reality we actually lived in.
It's so different, because we can't relate anymore.
No, not anymore. I mean, I can still have memories.
You can remember, but it's sort of like, it seems like in on another planet, you know? Or something. Whatever.
And why would you do that? Like, why? When there's so much joy, and when there's so much harmony. And then, like you said, you know, people, regardless of what their station is, regardless of where they are, they will then react to you in this new way, because it's how they feel from you. So you go to shops and everyone's extremely kind. You go anywhere and everyone's extremely kind and friendly, and wants to love and wants to talk. Even too much attention, like, you know, when you want to be on your own and you think, oh no, please, like, everyone,
no, please leave me alone.
You know, but it's
interesting that even some people that you know, come our way in a bad mood, and then we sort of have a playful conversation or something, and all of a sudden that person is smiling and shining.
That's right.
And that one thing I found a lot lately is that everyone whom I come into contact with and am with for at least 5 minutes leaves my space shining. It's
Yes,
just
yes,
strange, but it's
yes,
beautiful to watch, you know,
yes,
because it's like the face gets a new glow
yes.
and the eyes all of a
Mm,
sudden kind of become more
mm.
alive. There's a different sparkle, and it's just
Yes,
wonderful. It's
yeah,
really like,
yeah.
it's really a
Yeah,
magical thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny how also for me, I notice also at my job, you know, because like people that will call, they're in deep depression or something, and they
Hmm.
call and they expect everyone to be miserable, and all of a sudden it's just this joyful my voice on the phone. Hello,
Yeah.
how are you? Blah, 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 you know, I'm just like that, and it's like, why are you so happy? No, I
I
don't
want to
want
be
that.
miserable.
I want to be miserable. That's the thing. You see that actually they don't want to, they're not yet quite ready to step out of their misery soup.
That happens
But
sometimes,
but
yeah.
you see, it's like, you know, but they can't help it. So
But
they
you're not
kind of,
gonna get sad all of a sudden just because
no,
of that.
no, no, but they do change slightly, you know,
Yes,
they do
yes,
change.
definitely.
But I can feel their resistance. No, I don't want
I'm
to be
sure
happy.
like
I want to be
someone would,
miserable.
and no, and someone would be considering suicide, and the next
Yes.
moment they would be, what was I considering even?
You know, it's like
It's
finding
just,
the
yeah,
humor, but it's finding also the humor in this kind of really bizarre situations, and
yes,
people do respond to
they
that.
do.
But also, like, I find that I too respond to them. So if I see, okay, they
That's
want to be
it.
serious, I'm serious. I have no
Yeah,
interest to change their life.
yeah,
It is in your hands. Your life is in your hands. Misery soup, no problem. You know, but it just doesn't go into my, you know, like what it
yeah,
used to affect. But this also again has been few years in the exploration, because
yeah,
before we started this, actually people, there was no one that was actually even teaching this or talking about this, because it wasn't really possible. It was all
yeah,
very separated still. Even if you look at 10 years ago, you know what a difference.
yeah,
But now there's change everywhere, and it's remarkable the kind of people you find everywhere, and they don't have to agree, they don't have to use the same language, but it's that vibration. We speak the language of love, we feel the language of love, and these kind of people are everywhere. And this is the most
yeah,
surprising thing. And also it took a while, you know, but it is just one of those things that is like, wow, this really is amazing. And for those that perhaps are deciding that maybe they want to go because of that, you know, we offer that demonstration that it is possible to live within, you know, because we all have to make money, allow money to come through, all of these kind of things. So don't be afraid of institutions or big companies or whatever that you find opportunities in, because it actually, that job accommodates you and your needs, and it becomes really joyful. Like in the last, let's say the last couple of months especially, I've realized, wow, how much I enjoy that. I wouldn't do it more than 3 days, and I don't need to do it more than 3 short days, you know, evenings. And also talking about the traffic, I've been able to create this so I'm completely out of traffic hours. So the road when I go there is very empty, and the road when I come home is very empty, and it suits me perfectly. So, you know, like there really is this magical way of doing things that you really step out of all of those really hard parts that are part of a normal human life. And another thing with you know, many people dying, that I've written a post about, it's really that you can feel those death wishes is because the old part is dying. So just know that
hmm,
the old identity, it's rightfully
yeah,
dying.
it can
And
be
so
just that.
yeah, and so let that go, let that die, and you feel grief and you feel sadness. We all do. And there is
Yes.
also can be that resistance of the human, because it feels like sacred, all of your stories and that
Hmm.
experience, it feels sacred, and it is sacred.
It
And
is sacred.
you as a soul will gain all the wisdom out of it, and you don't
Hmm.
lose it, because with all nothing actually disappears. Like it's all always existing, but
Yeah,
it just
exactly.
morphs and changes and transforms
It just,
into
yeah,
something
exactly.
else.
Just
And
merges.
yeah, and then you become this new being, and this new part. But that stage between the old and the new, especially if you're experiencing it the first time, this really conscious death of an identity of yours, it can feel very intense. And also then there's emptiness. There often feels emptiness before before that new really has a chance to come in. So I would also invite everyone to be with this, ponder it, allow it, feel it. You don't have to make any decisions. And another thing is, of course, the next level is that, of course, nothing happens without the soul. So once the soul feels that you're ready to go, then you go.
The soul is the one that's going to decide anyway.
That's right. It's making that
one way or another.
That's right. And so, you are your own soul. So when you expand your awareness, you realize
you will know.
That's right. So I often explain it. Okay, it's like being a human in a closed box. It's like you think you're one arm, but all the time you're a whole body. So this whole process of integration and realization in a way, whatever, it's just realizing who you actually are. So all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, I've got a head as well. Oh shit, I've got another arm and two legs. That's what it all is about. And the thing is, then as you realize that you're this whole, then the world makes much more sense. Because before, when you just thought you were one arm, you thought, but how can I do things when another arm is needed? You still use both arms. It's just one of them is unconscious. So but that unconsciousness too, it's not something to hate or anything, because it was this being unconscious, this unconscious part of ourselves was a buffer. It's like, let's say, if you take analogy, like let's say you have a child and they learn how to do bicycle, and maybe you add 2 more wheels so they don't fall off the bicycle. And then as they become older, they're able to handle, they know how to carry the balance and all of that. They know how to ride a bicycle. You remove those wheels. So this unconscious world was a buffer, because being aware and awake and knowing your soul and allowing the presence is extremely intense. It's like being in the guts of volcano, that heat, so every experience is intense. And when you have that full experience, it's full on and it's intense, and there's so many, because there's so many facets of who you are. And so having all that in unconsciousness was actually part of creation, because it buffered the unawakened young baby human self to that full experience when it wasn't yet ready to have that full-on immediate manifestation possibilities of a creator that each one of us is, of that immediacy. And so this unconscious part was created to be a cushion, to be a safety cushion. And so now we're kind of slowly, as you're able, as each one of us is able to handle more, then you become more and more aware. And you become able then to handle this intensity, and it's not only you as a personality, but it's also your body. Your body needs, it's ready to do that, but it does need that adjustment period for that light body to come in. Not even come in, that would be it's just how we use these terms. It's not
to be integrated
anywhere. That's right. But to be
integrated in the physicality.
And conscious.
Exactly.
So all of these things are, so now when you are really in this space, when you realize that what a beautiful song and harmony and music our life is, and all the parts have a purpose, and all of the attributes of yourself, and all of the challenges, and all of the things you hated about yourself, even hatred itself had purpose, and it was part of this journey. Then you realize that you are wholly divine. All of you of who you are is divine. There is no that separation between soul and human, and but for the act, we continue to create, and we will continue on even a bigger scale to create all of the different parts, and at the same time be aware of this oneness of self, of wholeness of self. And so that is just a whole new way of living. And there are some people also that perhaps perhaps they are already much older, and perhaps they are, you know, in a body that can't recover back into this youthfulness. And for those people also, it is okay. Don't feel guilty if you do want to leave and come back in a new body, in a young body, because because it's still you, and you just, you know, you start where you finish. It's not like you become again totally unconscious. You come in you will come in this new energy and this new wonderful child that are so magical already, as you don't have to go through that, all of those old things as we did, all those old changes, you know, of the energy. And so whatever people choose, it's okay, but there's no rush, and just allow and enjoy the process, because, you know, like this whole thing is all about really enjoying each situation as it comes to you as whole. It's like each situation, it's not just one issue. You know, we often as a human say, oh, I have this issue, but really it's like a whole pot that you cook with lots of flavors, with lots of vegetables and all these bits and pieces. So taste all the, you know, don't just try to gobble it all up, but taste all the different nuances and flavors in that issue. And you, because this is also how you become. You become, and you always then do these. That's how you do. You are with that, with a certain theme or a thing or an issue, whatever you call it, and you just allow all these different aspects and all these different points of view and perspectives and the whole of it as well to come into your awareness, and you consider it and you taste it and you play with it, you know, for as long as you need to, and then you can make the decision, you know, based on all of that, that will then be a decision of wholeness. And this is also how you become aware of at the level of your soul. Because, for example, a lot of people, let's say, especially if they're still in the mind, you're not in a space, technically, you're not in a space where you can actually perceive the level of yourself where those kind of decisions are made. But as you allow more presence, as you integrate more of your soul, what we call soul self, this presence, you go through levels. There are definitely levels within you, and you come to a place where, wow, these kind of decisions are made, and they also become conscious. And then you can, as a master self, make those decisions, and you say, well, I have chosen to transition at this time, but you have to be in that level of self where those decisions are made. And so,
and there is no conflict anyway.
There is no conflict, and by the time you actually are able to get there, you have changed, morphed yourself into a very different kind of being than what you were. So both are true. When we say the human self makes the decision, doesn't make the decision at the level of mind, but at a different level,
a deeper level. Yes,
that's right. Then that's where you do make a decision. So
I find myself making the decisions, as I said, very often. I have that choice in that moment. I know I could choose,
exactly,
but it's coming from the soul.
That's right.
It's just, and me as soul, I choose to stay. It's not me as an individual personality or something.
That's right. Yeah. Because very often, I mean, sometimes people also say that, oh, but sometimes there is a contradiction. It's only because there is a misunderstanding, not understanding the whole picture, that it seems a contradiction. But in this, there isn't a contradiction, as we said, at this level. You don't make that choice. When you open yourself up and you expand your awareness and consciousness into your unconscious part, you know, that what was unconscious, then you come to that level, and then you, as a human, then aware human, can make that decision. But it's not because it's just you, but because you're now including much bigger part of yourself into that. So anyway, we keep going. Keep going.
I'd like to just mention that on our website, well, at least on mine, and I think on yours, we have the dates and the links for every single session up to the end of the year. We've already booked the dates, and so you have the calendar. And on my website, if you go to the tab that says calendar, there you'll find links to all of the events and activities that are going on during 2023 within In Passion Coaching. And one of the new ones is we're having some bioconstruction, natural construction workshops happening, 2 of them here in my own space this year. And we are celebrating 12 years anniversary for the In Passion project. So there is going to be a big celebration. And you are invited.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much. And this celebration is on the 25th of March here in Portugal at my own home. We're gonna just, get together and have fun. And there is a page on my website where you can find that, through the calendar, where you can find that. So if you'd like to come over to Portugal right then, there's also the Enlightening Showers of Presence retreat in presence, which is a whole new thing, because I had these online, I do still have these online experiences which go on for several weeks. And now we also have the retreat itself, where people can come experience the enlightening showers of presence, and a lot of new things, just like Alexis said. And
for
basically,
me, it's been only last 2 weeks that I really decided I was going to continue this role.
Yeah, I was placed before that, like you. Since August, I've been considering that. So it's been simmering. And so, I decided to continue. I changed a lot of stuff. So in the last 2 weeks, I had a lot of work on my website, because I needed to change so many pages and so many things.
And this is what's still waiting for me.
Work in a new way.
Yeah. And for me, it was from August too. Like after we had that big event with Jeffrey and Linda, for me, then
we stopped in August.
Yeah, because it felt like it was some kind of culmination. For me, it felt like
it was like a culmination, a celebration. And then I was reevaluating what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, how I'm doing it, etc. It was really, it's been a big, I mean, it's like we are so redundant in this, because we're always going through big shifts. But they're not dramatic. They're big shifts, which are delicious.
And for me, like now, I that's still waiting for me, big changes to my website. I've got ideas, but I haven't implemented yet, because it was so
and I'm still doing them.
Yeah,
and the funny thing is, since November, I've well, actually, for the last 2 years, I decided to take like 1 week off, 5 days off, whatever, each month, where I'm go somewhere and I'm totally off work or anything related, and I don't even see my work as work, but let's just say it like that anyway. And whenever I always go to really beautiful, fantastic places and do fantastic things. And anyway, always a change comes about, and then there's always something to add or to remove or to change on my website after I come back. It's just so incredible, because it's when I'm out of my regular space, though my life is not routine. Well, there is a kind of a regular routine, so to speak, in our daily life, but not in a normal routine kind of way. Anyway, when I get to do something else and be in a different place, there's that the space of consciousness just is so expanded in those times that I download millions of things, and it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute. So, that's it. Oh, right. And I have these inner conversations, so to speak, with my expanded awareness that are so yummy. And it's like, oh gosh, I'm so happy that now I have all of the answers all the time, that I don't sort of need to go and ask anyone or feel the need to have someone that's going to answer my questions, because the answers always are boom, 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 all there. And it's like, oh
and
gosh, that's fantastic.
Sometimes my human self goes, no, I don't want to know. No, not yet. I'll know tomorrow.
but then it's just there, and you just have to know,
yeah.
you know,
You have to know,
it's just so much fun
yeah.
to access those spaces of consciousness that were so hidden before, like that we couldn't access before. And it's so to say that every single one of us, every one of you have this. And so, but it requires ourselves to be available to listen, and to be available to trust that we do have that, and that even though in a moment maybe we might not be aware of what is the answer, so just stay long enough and the answer will be there. Yeah. So yeah, that's
Absolutely.
it. Oh, and the donations, thank you very much, everyone, for your donations.
We really appreciate,
Yes, we receive them with immense gratitude, and we're here for over 2 hours today.
Well, it's a new year, so
special edition.
We haven't seen each other since last year. That's a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Special edition today.
and there was a lot too. I mean, because there's such huge changes going on.
Huge change going on.
A lot that constantly happens, and there's a lot to cover. And I think that we have come to the end.
It doesn't feel like 2 hours though. It's funny, because I'm looking at the time as if 2 hours.
Oh,
wow.
my God,
Wow, because it's been so delicious. So thank you everyone for being here with us and dancing and enjoying this time together. Thank you. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you.
And thank you, and namaste.
Namaste.